Well, happy holidays to you once again, and to all workers, happy Workers' Day. It's now time for us to have the conversation about the state of the Ghanaian worker. We're looking at the rights as workers, the opportunities for progression in labor, what our rights are as workers, and whether we enjoy those rights. Most importantly, whether as a worker you're satisfied with what you take home as against your input in working. I've been joined by Dr. Fred Adumako Boating. He's the Bono East Director of Health. Good morning to you once again, and happy holiday to you. I see that today you're coming to us from your home and not the office, I guess. Tells me that you're ready enjoying your day away from work.
Actually, I'm having a time with the family.
Okay, that's good. Please tell them to permit you just a few minutes to spend your time with us here as well on the AM show. But Doc, talking about Workers' Day, for you as a Ghanaian worker, we speak to you, we see the strides you make in the health sector in the Bunu East region, which was one of the newly created regions out of the original 10. And I must say that you're doing well with what you're doing in the Bunu East region. But tell me how you feel as a Ghanaian worker. Anything that comes to mind that you'd like to talk about?
I think today I will take the opportunity to really thank the people who have made us who we are. As you rightly said, Blue East is one of the newly created regions. We are actually six of us. We call ourselves the Big Six. So you have Dr. Marion Oko, as the regional director for Western North. We have Dr. Shekantu Kubio, who is the regional director for Savannah. We have Dr. Abdubai, who is the regional director for Northeast. We have Dr. Samuel Pamana Boache, who is the director for Ahafo. We used to have Dr. Aduke, who was the regional director for OC, but now he's the regional director for Upper West. But we have Dr. Osei Kufuor, who is the regional director for OC. We will want to use this opportunity to thank then Council Chair for Ghana Health Service, Dr. Yao Yabua, and Dr. Insia Asare, who was the then DG for Ghana Health Service, now the Presidential Advisor. And then we also want to thank the current Council Chair, Dr. Asifa Bidiakon, and then the current Director General Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kuma Abaji. We are here to be able to talk as we are talking as workers. I think it's important that we really acknowledge people who have made this work as easy as possible. I mean, there is more room for improvement. I will, in fact, this last week was the week that we spent 3 years as regional directors. For example, when I came as a regional director, I had to sleep in a hotel for 18 months before I was supported by Kintampo Health Research Center. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Kweku Asante, who is the director for Kintampo Health Research, for giving me some place to put my head also. And this goes together with all the other colleagues. I want to thank the then Minister Director for Kintampo Health Research, Alice Bulato. I have to send work in her office for almost about 6 months. So you see that we have come far. I want to specifically use this day to thank my gallant workers, my deputy directors. You asked we are going to do a lot of discussion. I will let you know that my immediate deputies that I am working with, so that you will know those who are supporting us to be able to come here any time that we come. We have our Deputy Director of Public Health, Dr. Pauline Aklawapia, have Deputy Director of Human Resources, Mr. Yakubu Abu Bakari. We have Deputy Director Clinical, Ms. Helen Agojo. We have Deputy Director Finance, Dr. Harry Oku Neti. We have Chief Pharmacist, Dr. Kwamina Oku. Look, there are many of these people who are working, not to talk about our workers who are unsung heroes. I will actually talk about the unsung heroes. When you go to Hamid Anso, when you go to Babato, when you cross the island communities in the sub-district of Kojo Krom district, where people will have to sit on the boat about 3 hours before they're able to get to places to deliver services, where you have a lot of hard to reach areas before people can work. Look, the list is unending. I will want to add and thank Dr. Okufu Adisei, who is the director for College of Health in Tampo Health Research, actually the college where they teach people. They have supported us immensely as a new region. Without them, we cannot tell the story. I think I also use this opportunity to thank WHO. WHO has contributed massively for us. They have provided us, and I would want to specifically mention the name of WR, the representative of Akasolo. They have provided Brunois with 24 motorbikes and 36 helmets. I will want to talk about the Bible rights. They have also supported Brunois with 11 motorbikes and 11 helmets. I will want to talk about UNICEF. They have provided more than 1 million Ghana cedis for Brunois in training, building capacity. UNFPA, they have supported Brunois more up to the tune of 1 million, helping us to upgrade our regional medical scores. Without them, we cannot go on. I want to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Emmanuel Kojo-Tinkran, Deputy Director, Regional Director for Ashanti Region, Deputy Director Administration, Mr. Micah, Deputy Director Finance, Vincent, Hivia, all of Ashanti Region. I can't remember when I was posted to Brunois without any transport. Ashanti Region gave me a car to be able to use in Brunois for almost 6 to 1 year before I got the look. The list go on and on and on and on, the kind of support. I think I will land here. And then I want you to give me more questions. then I will talk about. But we are where we are because of the other people. I have to talk about the former regional minister, Amoakohene, and the current regional minister, Honorable Kwesi Edujan. Without your support, massive support for us, there is no way we can work. Recently, we had a challenge. It was the regional minister who stood in when we had a challenge with DCG and NEDCO. All sat together and we came to amicable solution to this. These are the people. And the media at Brunois, they have been phenomenal in terms of our fight against COVID. I think I have to use this opportunity to salute Chris. Chris is the administrator for Holy Family Hospital. And I have to also salute Dr. Tobias and patients. They really stood for us in times of the COVID. Holy Family Hospital, Dr. Gavin Apu, District Directors, Medical Suits for Bruno East Regional Health Directory. We salute you. Without you, Bruno East will not have the health workforce that we are having. All the others who have supported us in Sandra, I have to take this opportunity to talk about Mrs. Joanna Dupont. She really supported us in getting the first office that I will sit in. Look, these are the shoulders that we are riding on when it comes to the health workers. A lot of us, Jones and road nurses, Josephine, all these people, Musa, Eric Asana, Chris Santos, how many? Please, if I don't forget you, it's not that I've forgotten. You guys have really dedicated and show that we are all part of the business. Then let's go on path, Ghana. All these have supported us. Impact Malaria, they have supported us immensely. Then let's go on and on and on and on. But I think I will say is that Labour people, and I will have to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Frank Trevor, who is working assiduously for doctors in service, and other labor unions who are really fighting for us. I mean, they are doing the work for us so that we can really concentrate and make sure people in Brunois are healthy. Can you imagine I will go and fight for my labor rights and living the work that I am supposed to do? So these people are the people. Can you imagine the nurse who is supposed to attend to a pregnant woman, leaving her workplace to go and attend to this? The pharmacist, the health information officer, the disease control officer, the cleaner, the massive cleaners who are supporting us and making sure that we have a conducive environment to work in any time becoming. What I would say is that we have a dedicated team. A slight leadership, support, and all these, I think the sky will be the limit for us. This is what I would say. We still need more, which I'll count to.
Right.
We still need more to be able, we still ask for more, but I think where we have come to, if we can stay put and continue the way we are, we would say the health workers are ready to deliver. If given the inputs and all the necessary things, we are ready to deliver. Thank you.
Right, and today is Workers' Day, so I mean it's okay for you to mention that on ending list of people you'd like to remember and celebrate, and I think it was very thoughtful of you to do so. But at this point, let me introduce Dr. Joseph Obing, President of GUTA. Good morning to you, Doc, and thank you so much for agreeing to speak to us this holiday. You have been one of our frequent guests when it comes to issues of workers, labor, and also concerning imports and exports in the country. Let me just find out from you first, your quick thoughts on the state of the Ghanaian worker today. We know there have been a couple of agitations by workers, labor unions, for base salary adjustments, for especially when it came to the domestic debt exchange program, how we saw you fighting so hard. What is your assessment of the state of the Ghanaian worker today?
Yeah, they are working under a serious economic condition that may not augur well for them to even turn up productivity. But nonetheless, they are doing their best. The Ghanaian labor force is also influenced by the culture and a serious negative culture of the Ghanaian society that is affecting our labor force. To tell the truth, about 60% of the Ghanaian labor force is unemployable. They are not even to be employed. And that is the truth. And they are being affected by the negative culture that we have. So we have to be able, as we are celebrating the May Day, to dissect and evaluate our workforce, our labor force, as to why they are unable.
I'm sorry, Doc. I'm losing you. The line is breaking. I hear you for a bit, and then I lose you for a bit. Could you say that again, please? Talking about the bit on the Ghanaian worker largely being unemployable and the need for us to address that.
Yeah, I hope you all know that not able to increase productivity, and most times they are very not helpful even for their employers. And this is a fact, and it is not because they are doing it deliberately, but because they are being influenced negatively by the culture that they find themselves in. The culture that we find ourselves in Ghana now, from the political leadership to churches and to the traditional leaders and all that, is said that you take advantage of wherever position that you find yourself. Not being the culture, and it is working against the Ghanaian workforce. The skills that we do not have, that we do not put resources to ensure that our labor force is properly skilled, and that's the education that we have.
I'm sorry, Doc. We'll have to try and work on your line. I'm really struggling to hear you. It got better and then it's gone back again. It just, yeah, would have to work on that line. But I still got Dr. Fred Adomako Boateng with me. Doc, I was just asking Dr. Joseph Obing what his thoughts on the state of the Ghanaian worker is. You touched a bit on that in your introduction about saying that things could be better. We will be delving deeper into the conversation of brain drain, but let me just bring it in briefly because you work in the health sector, and that is a sector we've seen in recent times greatly affected by the brain drain issue. A lot of nurses are leaving the country also because in many parts of the world, post-COVID, there's a need for health workers. You know, even during the COVID time as well, there was such a heavy demand for health workers, and we saw Ghanaian nurses and doctors taking advantage to the detriment of us here. But then again, when you speak to these doctors, they say it is better off where I'm going. At least I don't have the burden of taking care of so many patients and earning very little for that. Your quick thoughts on the state of the Ghanaian worker, focusing on the health sector.
Thank you. So, you see, in terms of health, a nurse in Ghana or a doctor in Ghana will perform extra when he's working in the States.
Sorry, Doc, I've lost you as well. I'm too bad. There appears to be a challenge with our lines this morning. You just went off, totally off now. I can't hear a single thing you're saying. I'd get it worked on in a bit. But that's Dr. Fred Adomako Boateng. He's the Bono East Regional Health Director, and he was just sharing his thoughts on us. Doc, I still can't hear you. We'll try and work on the line and see if it's workable. Do I have Dr. Joseph Obing back? Is his line better? Hello, Doc?
Yes, madam.
All right, I can hear you now. So if you can just continue where you left off while we wait for Dr. Adomako's line to be rectified.
I'm saying that it's very important. Not as we recommend the Ghanaian labor force for doing their best, even under they find themselves in. Also have to subject them into the fact that we are unable to increase productivity, the fact that we are unable to use our labor force to bring employment. Because when there's productivity, it means that you brought wealth to your company, and then the expansion of the company will ensure that we employ a lot more people. But our labor force is unable to do this. And it is very unfortunate. And I'm saying that much as partly can be blamed on them, and the larger blame should go to the
Doc, I'm extremely sorry. I'd have to take a quick breather for us to work on the lines. I'm extremely sorry about this. And to you at home or wherever you're watching us, sorry about that as well. We'll quickly work on it and come back to continue our conversation on the state of the Ghanaian worker as we focus on Labor Day today. Thank you so much for staying on the AM show. We've been able to raise Dr. Joseph Obing on the phone this time around. Hopefully the line will be better. The connection will be better there. Doc, can you hear me?
Yeah, my dear.
Perfect. So you were telling us about your assessment of the state of the Ghanaian worker, productivity-wise, the economic conditions. Please proceed where you left off.
Yeah. So I was virtually saying that much as we should congratulate them for the effort that they are doing to work under the conditions that they find themselves in Ghana. You know, the working conditions in Ghana is not very good, but they do their best. But much as we commend them on that, we should also suggest them to critique, because our labor force is not able to help enhance on their own conditions of service. Because if productivity is nil, then you do not expect any increment of your condition or any to better your lot. And that's what I'm saying, that about 60% of our labor force, as it is now in Ghana, is unemployable in terms of skills, in terms of work attitude, in terms of integrity. And I'm saying that This is partly due to they themselves, and largely also attribute to the culture that we have in this country. That whatever opportunity that anybody have in this country, you should take advantage of it. Be it political position, be it the church, be it the trading that we do, anywhere that we find ourselves, the chieftaincy and all that, everybody is taking advantage rather negatively on wherever the person finds himself. It's a culture. And that if we have to work on it, it will help us. Because the unemployment that we talk about, if Ghana labor force is not able to regenerate employment, who else can regenerate employment for us? Because the labor force should be able to increase on productivity to create wealth. And then the wealth will also ensure expansion of businesses and thereby employing another set of labor. But because the labor force as it is now is challenged by those things that I said, are still not able to be able to regenerate employment for the country. And that's why we find ourselves as a country, the situation that we find ourselves now. So we need serious orientation culturally, and then provide the necessary skills. And if I will have to draw your attention to something. Most of our workers, especially the traders, the few people that we've been able to employ, are all taking advantage of the employment that we've given them, and still is, and that is impeding on our progress. When you look at the people in the manufacturing sector, also is the same thing. They are also taking undue advantage. And then when it comes to skills, now if somebody is building a house, instead of employing the Ghanaian labor, you would say that no, we have to go and employ somebody from Togo to come and do our tasks for us. We have to go and get somebody from Togo, Nigeria, to come and do a dressmaking for us and all that. When you have a machinery to sell a factory, you also have to bring the skill from where you bought the machinery, because the technical expertise that we have in Ghana cannot be able to fix this machinery for us. So you see that something is broken and that we need to fix. And that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Interesting, Doc. So, I mean, how do we ensure that the Ghanaian worker is treated right? Okay, so even in places where people are employed, and we recently, let me use my industry as an example, the Department of Communication at the University of Ghana launched the State of the Ghanaian Media Report, where they spoke about how a lot of people working in media houses in Ghana are doing so without contracts. Some of them are being paid very little. They don't have the right protective gears, for example, for stepping out into volatile environments. They don't have the socio-economic support to do their work. And so there are many people who are working, giving of their best, but they don't get a lot in return. This is just the media I am referencing, and I am very sure it happens in other industries as well, where people are given jobs to do without contracts. Some of them don't even know if their SNIT or other benefits are being paid, and they're just working, hoping that things will happen in the long run. What is that system we must put in place to ensure that Ghanaian workers are treated right?
Yeah, it's very important. You recall that one of our leaders said that we pretend to pay our workers and they also pretend to work. I think if you are an employer, you have to do the right things if you want to ensure productivity, to increase on your productivity, to increase the wealth that you seek. So what you are saying is correct. We have to do the proper contract, we have to give proper incentives and then honor them. If we're able to do that, then the worker is also very much motivated to do his bit. But let me tell you, on numerous occasions, people have started on that scale, and that the Ghanaian worker attitude has not helped to turn the productivity that we expect. I'm also an employer, and I'm talking with passion. So sometimes I will want to say that we have to tie whatever incentive, remuneration, or otherwise to productivity. That whatever productivity at the end of the year is what should be measured for incentives.
But Dr. Joseph Obeng, Doc, I appreciate the angle you're coming from, but is it also not because people don't have contracts? Many of them are not earning enough, and so they don't even have the peace of mind, the joy of giving off their best. Isn't that more of the problem than what you're citing? I admit
we are
that
talking
exists.
on the same scale. So the contract that I'm going to have with my workers should also say that your work incentives is going to be tied up to your productivity. Then it's a contract, a win-win situation for the employer and for the employee. If we're able to do that, then everybody is tied up to the contract, then we will move forward. So it shouldn't be that it should favor the employee where he will deliver nothing. And then it does not produce anything, and we do not regenerate employment for others and all that. So yes, there should be a well-structured contract between the employer and the employee. And then the employer says what he needs. And then the employee also demands what he wants. When we have been able to do that, then of course, when we start working, then everybody knows what he has to do, and then it will turn into productivity. So I believe in what you are talking about, and that's how it should be. And we should try and change the culture. That it shouldn't be that everybody go to a workplace for the benefit that he will have, the advantage that we have, to the detriment of the work that has been offered him. That is bad, and that is mainly the culture in Ghana that is not helping the growth of industries and even regenerating of employment.
Doc, does the Ghanaian worker know the power they have? In other places, for example, when workers demand their rights, they do it confidently. For quite some time, we have seen leadership of unions come out strongly to demand better working conditions for their members. But do you get a sense that we really know the power that we wield as workers?
Yes. You see, your power that you wield depends on the wealth that you've created for the industry. The extent of wealth that your contribution have been able to generate for that company. In that case, you use it even as a blackmail on your employer. That if you don't do this, I'm not going to generate this for you. But in the situation that you are producing nothing, you don't even have the will to demand. And I'm telling you, so somebody will ask, it's a chicken and egg situation. Which one comes first? If you are given a job, you should be able to fulfill your part of the terms, generate the wealth for this company, and necessarily the wealth that has been generated will trickle down on you. And then you can also use, because you're able to turn productivity and all that, use that to your advantage for your demand, because then they know that when you leave the work or when you stop the work, they are going to lose. But if you are producing nothing, and that's what most Ghanaian workers are producing. They are producing negatively for their employers, and that they don't even have the will even to go and demand anything, and that they do that, and then they don't get anything also. So I'm telling you, if we are able to change our attitude towards the work that we do, both employer and an employee, then of course we'll reach where we all want to go.
Doc, I'll be wrapping up with you.
I don't want to be one-sided and say that because of the workers.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But Doc, I'll be wrapping up with you shortly. But do we have mechanisms that protect the worker? If somebody is watching us this morning and says that, okay, I have an issue at my workplace. We have tried to solve it internally. It's not working. Can I elevate it? Who do I go to? And what is the assurance that my elevation of the problem will not cause me to lose my job or be victimized or be treated like a sellout? What can Ghanaian workers do to ensure that their concerns, i.e. salary concerns, safety concerns, even for some people, it's harassment in their workplace. What can they do beyond the mechanisms in the company to ensure that their issues are resolved without fear of victimization or losing their jobs?
I think this one is purely education, because the rules and engagement of labor is clearly spelled. We have the labor unions, and then we have the labor offices, and then we have even the labor ministry itself. And then all these things are spelled out with strong backing from these organizations that we've talked about. So it's a matter of educating the employee to know what his basic right is, and that he shouldn't be afraid of the employer. Otherwise, there will be unnecessary abuses by the employer also. But then, if everybody is educated on the right that they have, I think all is bound on education, knowing your right and where to go. And then we have all these structures in Ghana. I hope you know that. We have all these structures. So it's bound on education, and people should know their right.
Yes, and that's why we are here to help people get an education, an understanding of how things work and who and where to go to. But Doc, before I let you go, today the amended taxes take effect. We're being told that will definitely lead to an increase in the prices of some commodities, and even for many people may even affect their salaries in the long run. What should workers be bracing themselves for, even as we anticipate, according to some experts, harder times?
Yeah. When we are already overburdened with taxes, and that everybody knows. So to impose additional taxes on it is going to create another layer of cost on doing business, and that everybody should know, and then should be able to embrace when the time is ripe. And as to when it will start, like one writer said, Guta is expecting price hike. You know, we have just started the implementation, and the effect of it, I don't know the timing, but definitely when people started having the effect on their costing and all that, then it will be transferred onto the to the consuming public, and it may not augur well for all of us. So most times when we talk, when the business community is fighting this fight, we do it for the consuming public. We don't do it for ourselves, even though it will also benefit us. Sometimes we also need their support. When we are talking, sometimes they think that we are talking for ourselves. So definitely prices will trickle down, because if you add any layer of cost, and in this case, we are talking in some places 5%, some places 2.5%, and then others 20% for the excise duty and all that. So this thing will definitely not be going to be absorbed by the business person. He's going to transfer it onto the consumer, whether he has the ability to buy or not. But we sympathize with the consumers, and that's why we've been fighting that these things should not pile up on us. Because when the consumer's purchasing power has come down, like the inflation is eating it all, it does not augur well for the businesses, because the turnover is then curtailed, and that it also suppresses our growth. And that's why we always do not even think that prices should be higher for the final consumer to come and affect us in the longer way. By this time, it's a choice by the government for the purposes of the IMF. And I would say that, businesses were trapped by this IMF deal, because then the reason why we are just treading cautiously and we are trying to talk to government is because we don't want to do anything untoward to stop the IMF deal that everybody knows that it will be good for the country. But I think that the government is also taking undue advantage because we are trapped in this. And we still demand that government sit down with us to revise some of these things. And we think that the media review, budget review, we can seek audience with government so that any possible revision is done, so that businesses will not collapse. It will not be in the interest of the Ghanaian economy when businesses collapse, and the IMF deal will be a sham. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time this morning, and happy Workers' Day to you once again, Dr. Joseph Obinges Guta, President, ending our conversation on
so much.
Workers' Day on the increase of some commodities due to the introduction of some new taxes. Dr. Faraduma Boateng is still on Zoom. I'm told the line is much better now. Doc, sorry about the earlier challenge, but I was taking your quick thoughts on the health sector and the issue of brain drain. And this is largely linked to, one, the conditions here for health workers, conditions of service, and also some of them even opportunities to progress, to grow in the sector. How do we deal with this even as we commemorate Workers today?
So these are determined by market forces. Ability to pay will determine where people would like to go. Obviously, do I want more salary or more money? Of course, yes. So I had the opportunity to do a presentation for GMA, Ghana Medical Association at Bolga. And I really did a calculation for what a doctor is earning here as compared to our mates in the States. And I told them I didn't want to cause depression. So I didn't change the money from cedis to dollars, and they were all laughing. Look, if you translate the money from cedis to dollars, look, the Ghanaians should be applauded. And so currently we have a lot of nurses leaving the shore to other countries. But I just want to give a quick example. You remember our fight against COVID across the whole globe. You know, Ghana was rated number 2 next to South Korea in terms of how we approach COVID. So you can see that in terms of workforce, capability and capacity, we are able to do that. We have been trained in such a way that wherever we find ourselves, we will be able to deliver. That's the first one. Not only that, your work environment, as a nurse, as a pharmacist, as a doctor, wherever you are working, you need some instruments, you need some logistics, you need some conducive environment. In fact, at times you need some infrastructure to be able to work with, so that you can really do what you have been trained for. And I can give a typical example, like you will have to do a CT scan to be able to know what is the cause of this person's stroke. Whether is it the person is bleeding or is it an impact. You see that environment, if it's not there, then you are limited in what you can do. So when we were growing up as doctors, we were coming from medical schools as nurses, we had that in mind. Our ability to have a good culture environment, to be able to practice what you have been trained. We are not yet there. And so most of the time when people are looking at motivation and other things, money is good. For you to have fulfillment, ability to have equipment wherever you are, infrastructure wherever you are, and levels that you can refer. Those are some of the things even at times workers are also looking for from where I sit. And that's what will push a lot of people. So we have a lot of nurses and doctors running away. We blame them, no. I mean, that is natural for people to go. So we will have to make sure that we put in mechanisms where these people are retained, wherever their services are needed. So if you ask me, what do we have to do in terms of addressing this? I think that's what my able Frank Cerebral Dems are doing, and other Ghana Nurses Association and midwives are doing. We have to come and then really trade. There should be a trade-off so that at the end of the day, as we are saying that we are going to increase prices, my purchasing power and the ordinary doctor's purchasing power will not reduce. Those are the things that we also ask for anytime that we come. So do you want to ask me, would doctors need more, nurses need more money? Of course. We will always ask for more. And then not only that, we're also looking at the environment by which we'll be able to practice what we have to train.
I appreciate that you bring in the angle of the environment, and that's to say that when workers ask for more, it's not always about money. It's sometimes about the conditions within which they work, and not only even where you work, where you stay as well. Because sometimes I know I've been shown a doctor's quarters, for example, in some communities, and I'm like, this is not encouraging enough. Who would want to come and live in this, when there are other opportunities out there? So it's become very competitive, not only locally, but opportunities abound outside the country, and that's why workers may consider those options as well. I appreciate your time here this morning. Dr. Fred Adumako Boateng is Bunu East Director of Health, and he started off by thanking his team and thanking all those who helped to make administration of health in the region a good one. And so once again, congratulations to all of you workers. Apologies we couldn't bring on board the Secretary General of the TUC. He was billed to have a conversation with us, but we couldn't have that conversation with him. But it's been a fruitful one, and I hope that as a worker, you feel satisfied and hopeful that things will get better for you. Much later on the show, you have the opportunity to share your thoughts with us. But right after this, I'm not sure what takes over. She'll be looking at how brain drain is affecting our workforce, not only the health sector, but she's looking generally at that particular important part of our lives. But a study by Innovation for Poverty Action has shown that Ghana was chosen as one of the best known examples of a sub-Saharan African country grappling with high brain drain. Austin Game will be her guest. Do stay.